everyone, welcome to your English class. Dear students, today we are going to do explanation of lesson number 3. So what are you anyway? This is my first video, so I have written part 1 over here. Please open your books on page number 25. Dear students, this lesson is written by Lawrence Hill. Lawrence is a Canadian novelist, essayist and memoirist. He is best known for his 2030 Messy lectures Blood, The Stuff of Life, his 2007 novel The Book of Negroes, and his 2001 memoir Blackberry, Sweet Juice on Being Black and White in Canada. Dear students, it's been told here that Lawrence Hill is a Canadian novelist and he was also an essayist and memoirist. He is best known for his 2013 Messy lectures Blood, and now we are going to read this story and know about this lesson. Basically, this lesson is about a girl who is traveling in an aeroplane alone. Now let's see what she goes through during this journey. Let's read from the passage number 1. Carol settles in seat 12A beside the window, puts her doll on a vacant seat and snaps open her purse. She holds up a mirror. She looks into her own dark eyes. She examines her handful of freckles, which are tiny spots dotting her cheeks. She checks for pimples but finds none, only the clear complexion that her father calls milk chocolate. Para number 2. This is yours, I believe. A big man with a sunburned face is holding her doll upside down. Now, in para number 1 and 2, it's been told to us that Carol, the girl who was traveling alone in an aeroplane, she's seated herself in 12A and she was next to the window. She put her doll on a vacant seat just nearby her, and then she started checking her face in her mirror. Just then a tall man arrived and he took her doll upside down and he asked if that doll belonged to her. Para number 3. May I have her please, Carol says. He turns the doll right side up. A black doll. I never saw such a thing. Her name's Emmy. May I have her, please? Henry Norton, cries the man's wife. Give the doll back this instant. Now what is being said here is that when that man took her doll and he was holding it upside down, Carol didn't like it. So she asked him to return it as soon as it is possible. But that man, he started remarking on the doll that he had never seen such a doll who is black in her complexion. Carol tells him that her doll's name is Emmy and she requests him again to return that doll. Just then, that man's wife calls him by his name and asks him to give away the doll. Carol tucks the doll close to the window. The man sits beside Carol. The woman takes the aisle seat. Now, what is the meaning of aisle? A-I-S-L-E, aisle means the area, the path, long passage between rows of seats in a plane. Here it's been told that that man seated himself next to Carol and his wife seated on the aisle side seat. Don't mind him, the woman says, leaning towards Carol. By the way, I'm Betty Norton and he's my husband Henry. The man next to Carol hugs the armrest and he keeps looking at her. The stewardess passes by checking seat belts. Everything okay. May I go to the bathroom? Carol asked. Do you think you could wait? We are about to take off. Okay. Now what is being said here is that when all of them seated themselves properly in the aeroplane, Mrs. Norton told her that her name was Betty Norton, and that man who was sitting next to Carol was Henry Norton, who was her husband. Here it is also being mentioned that that man, that Henry Norton, he hogs the armrest. Hogs means spreads his arm on the armrest completely so that nobody else could put his or her hand on it. She says that she asks Carol not to mind her husband, and then she tells her about him, that he was her husband. Just then stewardess passes from there, and she was checking the seat belts. Everything was okay. Just then Carol asked Mrs. Norton that she wanted to go bathroom, and she told her that she should wait. So Carol agreed on it. Carol looks out the window, sees the Toronto airport building fall behind, and wonders if her parents were watching. Say goodbye, she instructs Amy. Waving the dog's hand, say goodbye to Mom and Dad. The engines charge to life. Her seat hums. The taxi down the runway. She feels a hollowness in her stomach. Now what is being said in para number 14 is that when the aeroplane was about to take off, she was looking out of the window of the aeroplane, and she could see the Toronto airport buildings which were left behind as the aeroplane has taken off. And she asked her doll Emmy to wave goodbye to her parents. She tells her to say goodbye to Mom and Dad. She waves the doll's hand, saying goodbye to them. It is also being said that when the aeroplane was taking off, she was feeling a kind of hollowness in her stomach. Now let's turn the page to page number 26. When they lift into the air, her ears plug and stay that way until the plane levels out over pillows of cotton. They burn as bright as the sun. So that is what the other side of the clouds look like. Now what is being said here? It is being said that when the aeroplane was in the air, when they reached the level of the clouds, when the aeroplane was completely in the clouds, when it reached the height where they could easily see the clouds, she kept on putting her earplugs. Here it is also being said that the clouds were shining as bright as the sun, and at that time she came to know that clouds used to look like that on the other side too. Excuse me, the man is talking to her. You can go to the bathroom now, you know. No, that's all right, Carol says. Traveling alone, are you? Carol swallows with difficulty. Where do you live? He asks. Don Mills. Oh, really? He says. Were you born there? Yes. And your parents? My mother was born in Chicago, and my father was born in Tuscany. Now what is being said here is that man who was sitting next to her, Mr. Henry Norton, he was trying to have interaction with Carol, and he told her that she can go to washroom now. But Carol told him that now she is fine and she doesn't want to go. Mr. Norton asked her that if she was traveling alone. Carol swallows with difficulty. What is the meaning of swallows? Swallows means makes a movement with her throat as though swallowing something because she is nervous or frightened. She was little bit nervous when he asked such question that she is traveling alone. She felt little bit nervous at that time. He also asked her that where she lived. She told him that she lives in Don Mills. He asked her that whether she was born there or not. She told him that yes, she was born there. He also asked her about her parents. Carol told him that her mother was born in Chicago and her father was born in Tuscany. And you're going to visit your grandparents. She nods. And your parents let you travel alone. It's only an airplane ride and I am a big girl. Now what is being said here is that Mr. Norton carried on talking about her, and he asked her that whether she was going to visit her grandparents. She nodded her head, and Mr. Norton was trying to discourage her that she was traveling alone in that aeroplane. He asked her that whether her parents had allowed her to travel alone in that aeroplane. She tells him that she is a big girl now and she can take a ride of an aeroplane. The man lowers the back of his seat, chuckling. The whispers to his wife. No, Carol hears her whisper back. You ask her. Carol yawns, holds Emmy's hands and goes to sleep. The clinking of silverware wakens her, but she hears the man and woman talking about her, so she keeps her eyes shut. Now what is being said in para number 29? In para number 29, it is being said that the man lowered his seat's back and he was whispering to his wife, and they were talking about Carol. Carol heard the whispers, but she ignored it. She was yawning, so she held her doll's hand and she went to sleep. But the silverwares means the clouds, the movement due to which there was a sudden shaking in the airplane. That shaking awakened Carol. So, but she didn't open her eyes at that time, and she heard that man and woman were talking about Carol. She could hear that Mr. Norton and Mrs. Norton were discussing about Carol. Dear students, that's all for today. I hope you have understood the story till here. We'll continue for further explanation in our next video. Thank you and have a good day.